Hello and welcome, my name is Clive from clivesart.co.uk, and as you can see I've got my apron on today, so that means we're going to get down and messy and I'm going to show you how to make some clear gesso. So if that's what you're interested in, please stay with me, and after a short introduction you can join me in the studio. Nice.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit clive5art.co.uk.
And thank you very much for joining me in the studio. Yes, now I want to make some clear gesso today. Why clear gesso? Well, it can be used in a matter of different ways. All it is basically is a clear resin or a PVA glue or anything like that. Anything that's got like a polymer base to it. It's got a little bit of calcium carbonate in there and some water. That's it. There's nothing more to that. In other words, it's a transparent gesso. That's it. And there's a lot of mystery involved over this. I've had so many emails over the months and saying, Clive, can you show us how to make clear gesso? What is clear gesso? How can we make clear gesso? Why do we need clear gesso? So I thought to myself, let's make some clear gesso. So the other thing I've been asked is, why do I actually make my own products? Well, let me tell you, we haven't always got $100 to go and spend on paints, and especially mediums and gessos and things can be very, very expensive. A litre, a big container of gesso, and this is one I bought a good old while ago now, and that's by a different, that's by a manufacturer obviously, but that was £12 UK pounds. I don't know, that's like about $16 for a litre. How ridiculous is that? Now, if you want to use this, then by all means use it, and if you're going to do commissions, then you don't want anything to fail archivally, then obviously you want to err on the side of the caution, like I normally do, err on the side of caution, then buy some if you want to do that. But I've never had any problems with archival work making my own gessos. There's black gessos, there's white gessos, there's clear gessos. So why not save some money? And I'll show you exactly how much money you can save. Now, in the last episode, I made some white gesso. So I've changed the formula a little bit. I've had some help from a friend of mine who works, I can't say where he works, but he works for a paint manufacturer, and they've got a small shop. And they make all their own, they get all their own pigments, they make their own paints, they got all their own binders. So I get all, I can buy small batches of binders and all these different types of chemicals that I can put in paints. I know how a paint is made now. So, and I think it's really good, and we've worked together and we've got some really good products that we can offer. Now, they are on my website. I'm not going to go into that. The reason they're there is because I've started doing some craft fairs now, and I've got some venues where I'm actually selling products, and I'm doing demonstrations and things out in some local stores and high streets and that type of stuff. So yes, things are looking up. So without further ado, I'll go through the products I've got. I'll show you how you can make your own quite easily, and then you could save yourself some money. How wonderful is that? Okay, so let's cut the fluff and let's get down to the working station, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so I want to go through a couple of things that we actually need in this lesson, and if you can get hold of a kitchen scales like that, that's great, and this allows us to weigh our materials, obviously. Maybe a whisk or something like that, something we need to get this powder and water and all the other stuff that we need to mix together, or a little paintbrush even, you know, that's good. Now I got a paint mixer. Now you can buy these paint mixers on eBay, not as big as the one I've got because I make stuff in bulk as well now. So, but you can buy a small paint mixer. I got one there, which I'll show you in just a minute. But that's just because you need to get, what I found personally is you need to get this calcium carbonate mixture really into the fluid. So you need to get it to absorb the fluid then. You need it to mix, because gesso does settle, as you know, and especially with clear gesso, it will settle. So before you use any gesso, make sure you give it a really, really good shake. I've got some measuring containers. You can use plastic containers like that. That's not a problem. And you need some pure water. I personally would recommend some deionized water or some boiled water that you got from the kettle. Let it cool, because it won't go off. It won't go stale. And you need obviously a container or something to put your gesso in. Now I'm only going to make a small amount. This is the actual size containers that I use and I sell on my stalls now. So they're 250ml pots, and they're quite reasonable. You can get your hands on those quite readily if you wanted to on eBay. But I mean, any old thing you could use. One of those, as you know, you've seen me using these squeezy bottles for ketchups and stuff like that. Or you could even wash out an old paint container like that. So you've got plenty of options. You don't need to spend money. This is what I'm trying to show you, is to save you money in the studio, because gessos are expensive for what they are, really. That's all they are, is a sealing coat with a bit of chalk in. That's it. Now, I've actually on the white gesso video that I did, I just used plain calcium carbonate. Now, I done a little bit of research into this, and I found that there was a mixture between 3 different things. You've got calcium carbonate, you've got talc, and you've got mica. So I've developed, I put a blend together, being an ex-painting decorator, and I used to use a little bit of chalk paint here and there, just for shabby chic furniture and one thing or another. I've actually come up with this type of formula. I've purchased 3 different types of stuff. That's the talc and the calcium carbonate and a little bit of mica, and I've actually put a blend together of this, what I call gesso powder, and it's a really nice tooth to it. Okay, so, but if you just want to use calcium carbonate, or you can use talc, or whatever you decide to use is fine by me. But I'm just saying that I've developed that is available in 1 kilo bags, which are going to be on the website as well. So if you wanted to purchase that, that's fine. 1 kilo bag would make 10 litres, 10 of them big tubs. It would make 10 of them. So just think how much money you can actually save. Okay, so without further ado, let's zero our scales. There you go. So that's now at 0. We put our container on. Now, as you can see, or you should be able to see, you may be able to see, it says 120 grams. Now, that's actually the weight of the glass jar itself. So if you press 0 again, or turn it off and then turn it back on, there we are. The scales will read the glass and it will 0. So everything you put in our glass is going to be accurate. And that's all we need to do at this particular stage. Okay, so what we need to do now, where's my recipe book? Oops, I just knocked my my table and tipped my tea everywhere, but it doesn't matter. Well, it means I tipped it, I just will have a drink. Nice, I haven't had much tea lately. Okay, so clear gesso. Now, we're going to need 83 grams of water. Now we get our deionized water like this, and then we add 83 grams of water into our jar. It can be plus or minus, it doesn't have to be dead accurate. There we are, that's actually 84, so it doesn't matter either way, as long as we've got that there. Now, we're going to need 63 grams of our talc calcium carbonate mica mix, or we can just use whatever we've got to hand, basically. But I do recommend you have some sort of a blend, because it does work better. So what we're going to do, we're going to 0 that now again, and then we start it back up, he says. There we go. Now that's going to read the glass and the water, so we can put 63 grams of our calcium carbonate or talcum powder or mica mix there into the water. That'll do. That's 63 dead. That's not bad. Now you can get a brush and you can mix that in. It's important that you try and mix that in and get that mixed in with the water. that is the important stage. This is where you can fall down. If that powder is not mixed into that water, that fluid or whatever it is, whatever we're making, if we don't mix that calcium carbonate in correctly, it's not going to work as good as you want it to. It can go lumpy. Now I've got a drill. I got a man's tool. Now that's a little paint stirrer on here, and I use that for mixing big batches of paints now. So, but you can buy a small one, or you can just use a whisk, or you can buy one of them cheap little blenders. You know, the ones you can just make soup with and stuff like that. Anything like that at all. So let's put that in there, and nice and slowly. You need to mix that for about 60 seconds or so, just to make sure that that is all blended together and the particles of calcium carbonate are bonded and basically soaked up all the water, and that's all it is. And it stops any lumps forming. And I got a little pot of water down by here which I can just wash that off with. And we are ready to go. So let's zero that again. There you go. There we go. Now I've got some binder there. This is red binder. This is but you can use PVA glue, school glue, anything like that. This just happens to be some binder. 104 grams. Or approximately, that's about it. Whoops, a little bit more than I wanted, but that doesn't matter. That's fine. Now you can use a little less if you wanted to. There's no hard and fast rule really. So around about plus or minus, it doesn't really matter. And then you get your whisk again, and you put that in, and you whisk that for another 60 seconds. Making sure you get all that mixed really, really well together. And this is good for crafting, this is good for journals, this is good for anything like that. You can put this on paper and you can use pastels on it. It doesn't have to be just used for painting on. Now basically all it is a clear coat with some tuff, which allows the paint or chalk or whatever it is to actually bind to that. I'll show you in 1 second. And we wash our whisk off, because we don't want that to dry on there. That's all nice and dry. Okay, so we get our container, whatever container we've actually got to put that in. I'm going to use one of my, actually let's use one of these, and I'm just going to put that straight into that there. I'll zero that, just make sure I got, that's actually 250 grams of clear gesso. There you go, 250 grams of clear gesso. So that'll keep you going for a long time, obviously depending on how much you use, but that should keep you going for quite a while, and that's a small mix, so that's a really good mix to get started with as far as that's concerned. And so putting that aside, let's have a look at a board that we got here. Now you should see a marked difference between that side and that side. This is a side that's unprimed, and that's the side that's been primed. And I just want to show you with a little bit of pastel exactly what happens there. Oh, okay. You'll see there's a lot more tooth to that completely, and I've got a white pencil here as well, if I can grab hold of it. You can see that it's binding really well and not so much there. And that's clear gesso, homemade by Clive, clivesart.co.uk, and I hope I can save you some money as far as that is concerned. So all it remains me to say is thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Please try that. If you do want to buy some gesso powder, then by all means just drop me a line or visit my website, and then I'm quite happy to ship out anywhere in the world at least a kilo bag of that. That is very inexpensive for what it is, and considering that you can make 10 kilos of gessos out of that. So thank you very much for joining me in the studio today, and I hope I've saved you some money. So all it means to say is thank you very much. Have a good day, good week, a good month, a good year, because I don't know exactly when you're going to be watching this. And all the best. Have fun making some clear gesso. Bye. Nice.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit clive5art.co.uk.